Welcome to the podcast, Morgan Starner. Morgan's a new upcoming artist. I'm excited to see what's next for her, but we're going to get to know her a little bit before her new single comes out. Morgan, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me, Brendan. I'm super excited to talk about the song and just to share some of my journey.
And if you're confused what you're watching, this is the Christian Music Bro podcast. If you like what you're watching, to like, follow, and subscribe to the channel. And we're going to dive in and talk to Morgan and get to know Morgan. She graduated from Berkley College, and she even fronted her own band before she's going solo. It was called Morgan Starner and the Constellations. How did this experience affect you as an artist today?
Oh man, yeah, I went to Berkeley honestly on a whim. I always knew that I loved music and I loved singing, but I truly didn't know any like music theory or have a lot of experience beyond just like singing and doing a little bit of musical theater and writing songs here and there, like half songs. And honestly, it was my mom who just really believed in me and was like, you just got to try this. So I ended up going there just on a whim, and I encountered the Lord while I was in school, which was really beautiful. So during that time, He really just gave me a purpose for my music that I didn't have before entering college. So this band, Morgan Starner and the Constellations, it was honestly just a group of amazing friends that I had who were also believers that we would get together and I would just be like, hey, I wrote this song. Let's see what we can do with it. And by the end of my school year, like by the end of my last year in college, we had like a really, really big showcase here. Like at the college, it was called a CAF show, and those were like the special shows at Berkeley. And I was just able to invite so many people who didn't know Jesus to come out and listen to these songs about my story and my faith. And that's what really sparked my love for doing Christian music, for wanting to share my faith in creative ways with people so that they can encounter the Lord in the same way that He encountered me.
That's really exciting. And you kind of answered my next question I had with that. I was going to say, what is something you learned with that season of leading a band and still influences? Does any of that impact how you do your music nowadays and everything with that leadership of the band? Because now you were a lead singer in the band. There's multiple people you can run ideas with, but now you're just a solo artist. But like, obviously, you probably have like some help with instrumentals and like some producers and management type logistic things. But how is it like different from being like in a band, bouncing ideas off and going solo?
Well, it's actually pretty similar. I think the experience definitely helped me in what I'm doing currently. So, with this upcoming song that I had the chance of working with some amazing individuals. I worked with Jacob Velasquez and his dad, Willie Velasquez, which, long story short, I met them because I was writing with him and his sister's Christian duo, Jake and Sky, and we formed just a really good musical friendship and just encouraging each other in the Lord. And I realized that Jacob is a huge talent with all the instruments, with bass, with drums, with keys, with electric guitar. And I knew for this upcoming song that I have that I wanted to have all those elements, basically to feel like that band setting. Even though we were recording it kind of from different states, I still was able to bounce off all these ideas that I originally had with them and show them, okay, this is my vision. I don't play all the instruments as well as you do, but here's my like bass line that I had, and here was the drum, sample that I had, and the vocal, and then it really came to life by working with them. So I think, my experience with the band back in college just helped me to be able to express, what kind of vision I want to present. And also, that time really opened me up to a lot of musical styles. I mean, growing up, I listened to all kinds of music with my mom and dad. My dad was more of like the country rock kind of guy, and my mom loved her 70s and 80s music. So we would always be in the car listening to this CD, playing Earth, Wind, and Fire and Cool in the Gang. And, those songs were just little girl to be in the car just jamming out to. And I think that really also influenced my style on top of my time at Berkeley, which just allowed me to grow so much and to explore how to communicate my faith in a creative way, in a way that I love to listen to.
And it's cool you brought up like the Cool in the Gang and Earth, Wind, and Fire from that. It's just because you're releasing a new song called Funk soon, and I kind of get that vibe from like listening to like those bands you just sort of kind of like inspired that song. It sounds like. Can you tell us a little bit about that new song coming out and everything?
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely inspired by some of those influences for sure. Stevie Wonder too. And honestly, I'm just so excited about this song. So, it's called Funk, Funk, capital, all capitals with an exclamation point at the end. And the whole idea and the tagline is get me out of this funk. And I literally wrote it while I was in a funk. I went and I talked to my dad and I was like, Dad, today is just not my day. I don't know what's going on. It's just a weird day. And he's like, you should just go and do something you love. Like, don't try and force anything. You should go and do something you love. So I took a little break and I came back and I started playing the bass and I came up with the original bass line for funk. So it's kind of like just an original bass line. I came up with it actually with my voice at first, which was fun. And I love playing the bass. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to have fun with this. And then I just feel like God just like bloop, plopped the melody like into my brain because it was like the chorus and the hook line was like fully formed. Like it was just right there after I sang that bass line. I could show you a little bit of that if you'd want to hear it.
You should play it.
Okay,
You already live
so
once.
it's pretty funny. So I have the bass line with my voice, okay, and then my singing comes in. So I'll play like a little bit of it here.
I
So
want to say
in
that's the
order,
first time someone has played a voice memo on this podcast. This is like episode 130 something, and you're the first one to play a voice memo, so I can give you props.
I'm shocked, but thanks. Well, this is my first ever podcast, so we both get a first there. So yeah, but it just kind of came at once, at least the idea, and I was like, ooh, this is cool. So started working on the lyrics and just the melody there. It's different than that original memo. The bass line is different and the kind of rhythm of it is a little bit different, but I mean it kind of kept to its core. And it was just so cool to be able to bring in those different styles and also kind of my love for music. It has some like metaphors for God's goodness talking about music. One of the lines is, "Cause you move," talking about God, "to a totally different groove. You just tell me to follow you and you'll do the rest. I know you will get me out of this funk." So it's kind of a play on words, but it's a lot of fun.
Is it funky? I'm kidding.
Yes, yes, most definitely. Most definitely. That was a requirement.
I had to do the fun there. Like I just say it so quiet. Like I get all serious at it. It's like okay, it's a fun question, but and that song comes out in October. So if you're watching this podcast, I think this episode is going to be released before October. So it's not quite out yet, but it'll be coming out. So make sure to check out Morgan's song when it comes out. And do you have any other stories that like inspired you to write the song, or do you have like a specific moment in this song, like while writing it, like this is and transformed you like this makes me want to put out more and more music? Is there a certain moment or like a challenge you had that like during the songwriting? Because I know songwriting it can be a really hard task. Not everyone can do it. So is there any challenges you had while writing the song?
Well, honestly, one challenge that presented itself, it was a little bit before writing this song, but around this time last year, so kind of like fall time, I actually dealt with something called vocal nodules. So they're basically like small little calluses on your vocal cords, and they can be from a variety of things: overuse, not properly warming up, not having enough humidity. I live in Colorado and it's very dry here, so it was kind of like a perfect storm where I was singing a whole lot and I ended up getting these things called vocal nodules. So I had to take a vocal rest for 2 weeks and also take some time off from singing. So this song was honestly one of my like returns back into recording music after making my recovery. Praise the Lord. He really got me through that time because I think those of you who have something that you love, whether it's music or I mean sports, whatever it is, if you experience some sort of setback, it's really it's really challenging and hard on you. So I went through that, and the Lord brought me through it. And basically, the song wasn't necessarily written about that specific experience, but it can apply to pretty much any experience where you're dealing with something where you're just like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this, God, but I know you know how. So please just get me out of this funk, get me out of this thing, get me out of this time that I'm in that I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how to get through this. So I think one of the challenges coming like and recording that song was I had to overcome like fear of singing and singing out, singing with my whole heart, singing with my whole chest. So like being willing to do that again from, going through a time where I couldn't sing at all to coming back and just being like, I'm going to give this my all in my recording. I'm going to sing this out. And I have made a full recovery, and I work with an awesome coach who helps me with all of this. So it's all super healthy now. But yeah, that was one of the challenges for sure.
And I'm glad you overcame your challenges. And for someone that is going through a tough time, challenges, what advice would you give these fellow, like other singers and creatives who might be walking through setbacks and like need to get out of their funk per se? Like what kind of advice or what do you give to them?
That's a great question. I think honestly, if it can be anybody who is going through a time or a season where they are just struggling or ebbs and flows, I think honestly just leaning on the Lord and his goodness, his grace, and I think something I've been loving lately is reading through the book of Hebrews because it just talks about how Jesus is our perfect priest, perfect sacrifice. He really did it all. And leaning on the finished work of Christ, knowing that He's going to get us through it, is probably what's been the most helpful for me. So, whether it's reading the scriptures or just taking time to pray, or even just like going out on a walk and kind of just letting all the noise kind of wash to the back while I just focus on the Lord, or literally just focus on taking steps forward. I think that's what I would recommend, and I also think getting around a really good community or communities, whether it's in the field that you love or I'm a part of an awesome group at my church that's like multi-generational, which is super cool. So I get to interact with people that are in totally different phases of life, aren't involved in music at all, and it just really helps to get some perspective on the world and what's going on. Like I talked to my dad when I was struggling, and he just gave me that advice that was just from a wise person, someone that's lived longer than I have. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
It's exciting to have that you're so connected to everyone, and it's always good to have family to step back. I say it's like big to have a big support system in your family. There's some people that, how do I say this? I'm trying to think of the proper word, that lost their way with their family, and I feel like you should rely on your family. So if you're like one of those family people that like step away from your family, I recommend reach out to them, even if it's just a text message. Just say hi, how you been. Even if this is like your cousin or aunt or uncle, just say hi, how you been. I think family is a big support system nowadays.
I love that. Yeah.
And in this new chapter, God is leading you to recording the song Funk. Obviously, you're releasing the song Funk. What do you feel like you're going to do more? Are you going to put out more music? Are you going to go back more into the songwriting? Where do you think your future lies?
Yeah, well, I think I definitely want to release more music. I have quite the collection of songs that I've written already because I've been spending a lot of time just developing a lot of songs. So I've written some songs, and some of those songs were the songs I performed when earlier this year I went on a local tour with another artist named Emily Rizzuto. So we did that here in Colorado, and I actually had the chance to perform some of my original music with my keyboardist Alex Bryan as well. And that just lit a fire in me. Just seeing the way that people responded to these songs and the conversations that I got to have with people after the shows, it was really powerful. We even had this prayer wall where I have a bunch of sticky notes up here too. It's not the prayer wall, but we would have people put up sticky notes for things that they wanted to surrender, and we would play Oceans or we would play gratitude and have people come through and write down what is it that you want to surrender. And honestly, performing live and just being in front of people, whether it's young people, multi generations, anybody, it really lights a fire under me. And like I said earlier, I I love performing and singing for people, even if they aren't believers, because I want them to be able to encounter the goodness and the love of the Lord. So I think my plan is just to release more music, and I also will be planning a release concert for the song. So I'll get my chance to play alongside a band again and hopefully keep that going, which is super exciting. So, yeah, definitely wanting to just keep going and keep writing. I write for other people too. I write for Jake and Sky and have a blast with that. So, yeah, I think just continuing on this journey is what I want to do.
And it's cool you said you brought up oceans, like you played oceans. I watched a video on YouTube. There was a video on YouTube. I looked it up, like doing research. I just like looking research, and I saw your cover of oceans, and it's also on your Instagram page, and it was really well done. So good job.
Thank you. Yeah, that was filmed with Jason Alfro here in Colorado, and he just gave me that opportunity to film a full video of whatever song I wanted, and I chose Oceans.
Where are you located in Colorado? Just a random side question. Like, are you around Denver area, or are you completely away?
It's the Metro Denver area.
I might be going to Colorado in the future, so that's why I was just curious.
Yes, let me know.
Yes, but I'll tell you more about this off air. But I was just curious where you were in Denver.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
But Morgan, thank you for coming and sitting down with me today. Everyone, check out Morgan's song. It's gonna be funky. It's gonna be legendary. It's gonna be great. Morgan, I wish you the best of luck with the new release.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait for you guys to hear the song, so stay tuned.
And we'll see you next time, everyone, on the Christian Music Bro podcast. Nice and easy.